That the Yankees, yeah, it's like the Yankees of old. 10-0 as we go to the 5th, and we're going to see these Yankees next Wednesday night deep in the heart of Texas. It's the last game of their 6-game road swing. That'll be the ESPN game at 7 Eastern. Some of you will see Tampa Bay at Boston. The late game is on ESPN2. These A's hosting the Cleveland Indians, the 1-2 team for the wild card race right now. So we'll see the Tigers at Safeco against the Mariners. Well, Andy Pettitte gets runs. Tonight he's got a bunch of them. By the way, Ray, Yapier's ERA, 10 earned runs he gave up tonight. Okay, so from 4.39 to 4.93. So his ERA goes up about 2/3 of a run tonight. And this one is barring. I saw it once, and you know, actually, we're coming up to about the 10-year anniversary next week of one of the most amazing baseball games I've ever seen. It's our first year doing baseball in 1990. As Andy Pettitte is 1-1 to the catcher south of sound. First year doing baseball in 1990. August 18th-ish. I got to look it up. Phillies at Dodgers. Center field, Bernie Williams makes the catch. 1 out. 11-1 LA at home through 7. Every starter was pinch hit for by Lasorda. Fernando pinch hit a fly ball to the outfield. It's 11-1. They're playing the Phillies, managed by Nicolaiva. They were not very good, as you remember. Phillies get 2 in the 8th, and this young team is like applauding. They make it 11-3 during the game with Tommy Hutton. I put my score. I didn't score from the 7th inning on. Why bother? 9 in the 9th. The Phillies got. Offerman booted a double play ball to get it started. Famous Philadelphia Philly Dale Murphy hit a bases loaded double. John Kruk would have annoyed Leyva earlier in the day, so he sat him, pinch hit a 3-run homer in the 9th. Tommy shattered a coffee mug in the dugout. Foul ball. So 10 years ago, about this week, the Phillies got 9 in the 9th and won a game 12-11. Just can happen, but I got to admit, not often. You ever been involved, Ray, with a huge comeback either side, like a 10-run, 9-run variety?
In '95, the coach with the Reds, the Mets, were beating us at home on a Saturday, about 7 runs, and we came back, run again, hit a home run to tie the game. We ended up winning the extra innings, 6 or 7 run lead. Of course, the biggest comeback that I have ever been a part of, although it was only 2 runs, it was with 2 outs.
Well, I remember that one, all right?
Trying to make sure you do.
I do. We all have our stories in New England of what we were doing at that time. Ooh, that's a nice play by Luis Sojo. He can play defense, chunky, but he's played all 4 positions in the infield, but especially second base.
Well, he's what we call a ball player, a guy that goes out and he doesn't impress you too many ways, but he just makes all the plays defensively, offensively, chips in every once in a while for a base hit. And Terrence Long can fly. That ball's down and away, chopped. No chance for Pettitte. This bare hand, the only chance he's got to make the play. Still makes it bang bang with great speed from Long. Luis Sojo. I mean, and again, when you go back and look at what the Yankees have done, you take a month away from them, and they're an average ball club. You mentioned they're 1 game under 500 prior to Justice coming over here.
Well, they're actually, Ray, 1 game under 500 from May 9th on. So that with the Justice, they're 10 over. So they were way under 500. Right, there's the guy pitching with a 10-run lead, doing what you want to do. Make him hit the ball, make him make the outs.
Today 1 to 2 to 4 minutes.
Chris Berman, Ray Knight, and a big Yankee lead. 5 in the 3rd, 4 in the 4th, 10-0 here as we hit the bottom of the 5th. As Doug Along Came Jones did not supply the relief. Bases loaded, surrendered the double. Brocious clearing the bases. Made a 7-0 game, a 10-0 game, and here we go. And you know what? This is a rough week for these Oakland A's because they lose a heartbreak Saturday in Chicago. They balk by Isringhausen in the ninth. Isringhausen in the ninth tied it. Frank Thomas a double to win it in the 10th. Then they come out on Sunday, and Tim Hudson, who was their little Pedro, they're almost automatic with him. They get beat 13-0. Last night here in New York, brutal loss. Veteran pitcher Apier being pounded. Tough. That's tough, right? You, as a manager with a young team, you really have to figure out how you want to approach this after tonight, which is the second time in a week, right?
Well, it's little tiny baby steps, Chris, when you have young talent. Now, Apier is another story. He's a guy that's been through the wars, and you expect him to come out here and pitch a good ball game. And that's what we mentioned in the open with Giambi being the team leader. Your leader starts on the mound. If your pitcher doesn't give you a good outing, then chances are you're going to struggle to win if you don't get pitching. Apier, I know that Artie Howe felt really good tonight coming into this ball game, feeling Apier was throwing the ball a lot better. But when you get Hudson hammered for 13 runs and had his earned run average go up about a half a point, and you look last night at the game that was pitched by Barry Zito and have them to lose that ball game.
No, Apier.
And then Apier, but you start to feel momentum shifts during the course of the season, and it's where your team is right now. It's not where you've been. It's not what your record is. It's how that makeup in that clubhouse is.
Jones strikes out Jeter.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Every Hyundai is backed by America's best warranty with 10 years powertrain coverage. And by Nike.
Paul O'Neill up, took the helmet off the camera, and he's back in there, Ray. 10 runs, by the way, Marty Quality Aronoff. Along with Peter Pepperdine, Pete Pasquarelli, and Malibu Marty Aronoff providing us with our info. The 10 runs given up by Apier, the most he's ever given up in his entire career. Usually you're not in there to give up the 10, of course, but it's a career in which he has close to 200 decisions. Not a night he'll look back on fondly. He will. Slam for Tino. 5 RBIs tonight. I'm still looking back at the Doug Jones page here with all the whistle stops. 1978, huh? First year in organized ball. Butler University, Doug Jones. Lebanon, Indiana. He's now 43 years young. And Newark, Burlington, Vermont. It's got to be Vermont, I think, although there's a Burlington in the Northern League, so I don't know. Stockton, Vancouver, Holyoke, Massachusetts. They haven't had a team there in a long time, Ray. I can tell you that. Wow. Came around and kind of hit Fasano on the back, and we'll continue reading the Doug Jones geography quiz in a minute.
2-1, 2 men aboard though, and there it goes. Sweeney's now got 17 homers on the year, and the Jays at home, or I should say the Royals at home, lead the Jays 5-2 top 4.
All right, Billy, what do we have? 10-0 lead for the Yankees here in the top of the 6th. Ray, in 7 of Pettit's 22 starts, the Yankees have scored 10 or more runs. They got 13 for him Friday against the Mariners. Jeez, I might go 500 with all those runs. You, I know, will be a 20-game winner. Me, I'm just looking to be 10-10.
Andy Pettit, speaking of Andy Pettit, 12 of his last 15 outings, he's gone 7 innings or more. Pretty easy to go 7 innings when you're getting all those runs.
Yeah, but you know what? I think lost in all of it because of the way he pitches, and he never has rarely has a stretch of a couple of months where he's dominating in his own way. I mean, it's a staff with some big-name guys. Roger Clemens and Cone, El Duque and the postseason pitcher he was last year. Before that, when they were winning, Cone was much more of a factor. 96. Andy Pettitte has made, from 96 to 99, we told you that his 69 wins are third most in baseball. But Andy Pettitte has made 132 starts, over 30 every time, okay? Now this year, it's his 22nd start. That'll drop in front of Bernie for a base hit. So Jambi is the second hit of the night. So 132 plus 22, 154 plus 13 postseason starts, 167 starts in 4.5 years. I mean, let's not lose the fact that he goes to the mound every 5 days and pitches.
Well, there's no doubt. He is. You look at his record and his stats, and he's got an under 4 earned run average throughout his career. You mentioned all the games he's won. But I was looking back at his 2,000 starts when you mentioned the fact that they scored all those runs for him, Chris. In 3 of those games, he left leading 13-5, 10-2, and 16-0. You take those 3 games out, they only score 5 runs an outing for him. So, that average stuff is always something that you go and look and break down. I also saw 3 games where he's trailing 4-3, 4-1, 4-1, 3-0. So those are just situations where he actually has had 3 inflated games where they scored a bundle of runs.
There's a lot they get done, right?
And the rest of the games have been very close. So, he is a quality pitcher, one of the top 15 in the game, one of the top 5 left-handers.
167 starts. I mean, you get the ball. Obviously, he's pitching for a great team, and he's getting runs, as you point out, not all the time is what the stats would tell you. But I think of the game he pitched in 96, the 1-0 duel in Game 5 against Smoltz in the World Series. Sky to center. Bernie Williams should have it. This ball hit by Adam Hyatt. He does. I think of Game 4 in the 98 World Series when, the Yankees on Brocious' heroics off of Trevor Hoffman essentially got them the 3-0 lead at San Diego. They were going to win it, but he beat Kevin Brown 3-0. I think last year he won against Texas. He won against Boston in the opening 2 rounds. He got off the hook in that great game. Curtis hit the home run off the game Glavine started in Game 3. But my point is that I think overlooked is that he's come up big in a lot of big situations. If there's anyone that maybe a little bit is taken for granted on this team, certainly in the pitching, I think it's been him. You agree?
I agree, and you don't hear much about him. And when you don't hear much about somebody, they're generally doing their job. It's just like an umpire. And, we've heard a lot about Cone. We've heard a lot about Roger Clemens and their struggle, El Duque and his attitude problems, Mendoza with his problems in and out of the rotation with his shoulder, and Andy Pettitte is just a solid number 2 starter. Used to, Chris, as managers or managerial types, you'd look and you'd want 7 innings. El Duque a little happier today, seemingly. From a starter, that'd be 245 innings and 35 starts. And that would really classify him as a number 1 starter. Now, in today's game of relief pitching, short relievers, setup men, you're really looking for just 6 innings per start. That's 210 innings a year. If you go by that criteria, in 96, Andy had 221 innings, so that's a number 1 starter. 240 in 97, 220 in 98, and 191 last year when he missed 4 starts. So he's putting up the stats, the innings, as you say, like a number 1 starter.
Yes.
Going out there every day, not missing a start, giving you 6+ innings. And as a result, that's why he's the 3rd winningest pitcher in the last 5 years. One thing that is interesting about him is that he has regressed in his win totals, 21, 18, 16, 14 the last 4 years.
Good point. That's a nice play by Brocious. Soho turns it. And we have hidden in this 10-0 game, seen some nice plays in the infield. Roches and Soho turn the double play, 10-0 New York. The order for the Yankees coming up against the third Oakland pitcher of the night, T.J. Matthews. And he may take us to the finish here, Ray. 6, 7, 8. I think that's what Art Howe has in mind. And you can see his numbers being hit pretty hard. 64 hits and 49 2/3 has not pitched the way he has last year. New second baseman is a New York product from Staten Island, New York, Frank Menechino. So he goes in for Velarde. And we go with Bernie Williams. I figured Doug Jones was good for another inning or two. We were going to read some of these other cities. I'm bummed.
You got
He
enough
pitched in
information for a year.
1985. I forgot he pitched for Waterbury. They were the Indians that year, the Waterbury Indians. You ever play in there? Did Waterbury have a team when you were in the East?
Yes, they did. 1973, they were a Dodger farm club.
Yes, they were. Richie Zisk played there, right?
That's right.
I believe he came up about right. I don't know if you played him there, but
I didn't play against Richie Zisk.
yeah, he may have been a little before. No, he was Pirates he came up with. That's right. Dodgers. Were they the Dodgers when you played there? They were the Dodgers?
1973, they were the Dodgers.
Waterbury had the Dodgers. They had the Pirates. They had the Giants. Rick Sutcliffe pitched at Waterbury. But anyway, Doug Jones pitched at Waterbury. Now he's out of the game. I was just starting to rev up some of these stops. But we'll have Oakland again in a few weeks, probably. And we'll read it again.
T.J. Matthews had a great start last year, then developed some problems, had bone spurs removed from his elbow. He's always been a real hard thrower, two-seamer and four-seamer, around 90 miles an hour. Has struggled with his release point this year. Has dropped down a little bit more, a little below three-quarter angle. Was always a three-quarter type pitcher when he's with the Cardinals. See his motion there. He's got that finger taped into his glove. His hitters were reading, and he had a tendency when he'd grip that slider of his, he'd use that finger, and see how they made that web there for his index finger. A lot of pitchers have a tendency when they go in their glove to make a grip, they'll wiggle that finger on a particular pitch. And you see here they've created that. So you can put your finger in there and there won't be a wiggle, or they can't tell when you're tightening up on your grip. There you go. You had to chase him a little bit with that camera, but we found him.
Hey, you can't escape us. Even if you put Paul O'Neill's helmet on the camera, we're going to find him. Sano looks, but it's out of play. Last year, T.J. Matthews, I told you, he had a big year for them. 9-5, 3.81 ERA. Year before with Art Howe when Oakland was not a contender, 7-4, 4.58. Year before that with Oakland, coming over in the McGuire trade, was 6-2. So as far as records go, he's done very well. Not pitching though the way he can, and middle relief has been trouble. Oh, that's poked to center field. Back, gone. Whoa, that was no bad. It rolls all the way up. What were the bleachers? It went all the way. I'm going to show you this in a minute. It went all the way up to the back wall. Man.
That ball would have probably still been rolling had it not been for the kid picking it up, and Bernie Williams was about to cross home plate.
Let's show you where it really went. Oh, my God. Did I just say his middle relief has not been what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You know, I don't normally step on you, partner, but when you said, I said, whoa, that ball was crushed.
Let's show you where this went. Can we do that? No. All right, now watch. It hits, doink, 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 and off the back row. Oh, my God.
They're trying to get Bernie to come out. Look how long it rolled. Bernie was almost to home plate when that ball stopped rolling.
coming out story. It's Bernie Williams. David Justice fouling that one off himself.
Well, he wears that protector thing on his shin. He doesn't have it down there on his foot. That's what happens when you try to pull those down and in sinkers.
3 homers tonight for the Yankees. Here's
ball down and in. Fasano setting up outside, and ball just straight down on his instep. He got all of this, but unfortunately his foot absorbed it. A lot of hitters wearing that plastic protector there.
smart move. You know, way back when, well, it's hard for me to say. I'm still looking at that area where Bernie hit the ball, Ray. And I went to a lot of games here as a kid at the old configuration. It's hard to really...
Well, what was the deepest part out there?
Wow, the deepest part was 463.
And that was
And then they would have the bleachers behind it, which they would sit. I mean, there's seats, although they're never used, I guess, in a series way. They're not used in this day and age, but way back when, 463, and then they'd have bleachers back there. You could sit back there, which would be 500 feet away. I mean, Mantle hit a couple way back in the bleachers there. He could have. Jose could have, for sure. The old stadium before they changed it in the mid-70s to this configuration.
Chris, out there where those numbers are, is that the old wall?
No.
No?
No. You know what left center was, too? This will amaze you. And we've talked about dead center. It's one thing that dead center was 463, okay? Left center was 457. All right, now dead center was where the monuments used to be in play, remember?
Right.
In center field. I once saw Kari Yastrzemski hit, well, the monuments of the Babe and Gehrig and Miller Huggins were in play in straightaway center field. I once saw Kari Yastrzemski hit one to the monuments, and it was caught for an out.
Mantle?
I think it was after Mantle, but it doesn't matter. Mercer, I think. It wasn't an unbelievable. I mean, it wasn't like it was Willie Mays' catch. 450 for an out. Ray, what do you think? Paul O'Neill talks to himself now? Look out. Remember, the New York Giants play football here, so they had to have it big enough to get the football field. And the football field went because center and left center were so deep. That was one end zone, center and left center field, and they came toward the first baseline was the other goal line.
Well, I remember as a kid, right field being only like 3 feet high, the wall.
I'll tell you exactly what it was. Justice walks, and Tino is up with another runner on. Way back when it was a 1-0 game, Terrence Long misplayed this ball by Polonia, and later in the inning with the bases juiced, Tino Martinez juiced his 11th home run. It took a very quick curtain call. And that made it 6-0 at the time. David Justice is in, and Clay Bellinger is the pinch runner for Justice after fouling it off his foot, which of course is a very wise move in an 11-0 game.
You know how we talked in the open about you never know when somebody's going to get hurt, and that's why I think you need to stack up as many good players as you can. Jim Bowden, my general manager in Cincinnati, taught me that.
Wow. That was pretty well hit, too, by Tino, but it's an out too long.
Because he would say, I don't care how many players you have, you're never going to have enough. And he'd stockpile the AAA roster with former big league players just in case you have injuries, and you're going to have injuries. We go through years when you have 5 or 6 injuries like the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they lost their Kilvio Veras. They lost Reggie Sanders for a long time. Galarraga's been out. Walt Weiss has been out. They lost
Smoltz
Eddie
gone.
Perez, Smoltz. Remlinger was out. And that's why they struggle. I mean, if you go out of spring training with the 25 players you pick, when you're the caliber club of the Yankees, you'll blow people away if you stay healthy. But they've had a great run over the last 4 years with people being healthy and staying healthy.
Yeah, they got
Pretty
a guy
healthy
now.
fellow there.
Yeah, they got a guy now. He's not been. You know, I asked Joe, could Jose play left field? He said, he's had a little bit of a leg injury, but he worked out there yesterday a little bit. And he said that could happen. It's not like, hey, he's never going to play left field.
2 men born in Cuba.
Yeah. Left in different circumstances.
You know, I read an article. Jose Cardinal was the person that was basically the liaison between management and El Duque, because he could communicate. Oftentimes, El Duque would not understand what was said to him in English. Cardinal became kind of his interpreter. I wonder how much that had to do with acquisition of Canseco.
Rung him up. So Posada is gone. And that'll bring up Scott Brocious, our Old Spice in-game box score. Been pretty spicy for the Yankees. Polonia with a couple of hits. Of course, Tino with the 5 RBIs. Bernie Williams with a monster home run, 2 walks and 2 hits. So he's been aboard all 4 times. You know, you're ahead 11-0. There's going to be a lot of guys fattening up in the average. And he fattened up pretty well. You asked me about the old Yankee Stadium. The wall was, I think, 4 feet. Because Frank Robinson, when he played for Baltimore, and Al Kaline, when he played for Detroit, often went over the fence into the crowd. And you are not allowed to jump for your young fans, because you don't see a 4-foot wall anymore. For young fans, you are not allowed to actually jump in the crowd and stand there in the first row and make a catch. You have to be airborne. But you could be falling back over the wall and bat a ball back in. I saw Frank do it, and I saw Kaline do it, Ray. And the center fielder went over and hold him to a triple. They would rob a home run, literally.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know who, I think it was Maris that I saw
he went in.
fall in there and bat a ball out. It would almost remind you a lot of Fenway Park, where that short right field out there around the bullpen.
Yes. Where
outfielders pedal back, back pedal, and then stumble over the fence.
Off the glove of Chavez, well hit by Brocious. Probably be a base hit, we'll let you know. I'll give you a name you haven't heard of, and maybe you forgot, but the Yankees, even those great Yankee teams, when you didn't have that many bench guys, you never heard of them. But you'd always have to have a 4th outfielder, even though you had in the 60s, it was Mantle and Maris and Tresh was in left field. Hector Lopez, do you remember that name?
I sure do.
Former Kansas City A, as a matter of fact. Came here. I saw him go over and make a couple circus catches when he played right, number 11. I don't know if Zim ever did it, but
57, 58, Chris, I used to, in my backyard, and I still have the scorebook where I'd have the Milwaukee Braves and the New York Yankees, who were pitted against each other in the World Series. And I was only 5 and 6 years old and actually had a scorebook of the World Series. And a friend of mine, Julian Stinson from Albany, Georgia, we used to go out in the backyard, and I would always be the Braves because I loved the National League, and he'd be the Yankees. Would hit ground balls in the alley, you know, and always the fence. If you hit an air, it was a triple. If you hit it over, it had to be an out. But off the wall, the chain link fence to the left would be a double. Off the oak tree would be a single.
Yeah.
But I remember Hector Lopez. I surely do. Clete Boyer, Bobby Richardson, Tony Kubek, Lou Skowron.
Yep.
As you mentioned, Tresh. And
Tresh was later on. He was 62. Rookie of the year. He wasn't in that series, but so many of those guys were. I mean, those were the Braves and Yankees back-to-back series, one by Milwaukee. And, of course, the Yankees coming back in 58.
Well, my idol growing up was Eddie Matthews, who played with the Milwaukee Braves and later on came to Atlanta and became a manager for Atlanta Braves, great Hall of Famer. But my first uniform in Little League, my mother and dad bought me a uniform with 41 and had 41 put on the back, and it was always my favorite number. But when I went to Cincinnati, Tom Seaver had it. And
try again.
Yeah.
Oh, Tejada with it. Oh, he's safe. That was another fun play.
Hey, I've seen him make 4 plays tonight. And you talk about shortstops that are flashy. This is as flashy and efficient as they come. I mean, he's making plays no other shortstop gets to. This is a bullet up the middle, right between the pitcher's legs. There's no other shortstop I know makes that play. That's a bullet. And I believe he's out.
He was out. He was out.
Let's look right here. But look at this ball. I mean, that's 3 feet on the other side of second base. And he ends up making his play, and he's definitely out.
Please.
I guess the umpire must have thought he missed the bag. Tejada, he plays with so much emotion, doesn't he? And, you know, and like I say, this is the first time I've seen him live. Last time we were here, Menachino played shortstop about a month and a half ago when I was here doing a game. And I didn't get to see Tejada. He had the night off, but all the things.
It's been a treat.
Gosh.
Meanwhile, again, the Yankees have the bases loaded, Ray, for Luis Polonia.
I mean, how many times do you see a shortstop dive 3 times in one game?
Well, and make that
backhanded play.
Almost looks like an option quarterback. You know, now Congressman J.C. Watts used to run at Oklahoma like the wishbone. He was out. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. Or he looked to be out. At any rate, the call's not going to much matter. T.J. Matthews, 35 pitches this inning.
It's going to matter to T.J.'s earned run average is what it's going to matter about.
Soho hadn't had a hit. That wouldn't have been one, but he gets one on the call, so it matters to his average. Jose Vizcaíno will come out to bat and play short for Jeter.
Another great acquisition. We haven't even spoken about that with Knobloch having his problems with his throwing arm. Go out and acquire such a great professional as Vizcaíno.
Polonia strikes out. 7th inning stretch if you're an Oakland fan, but it's a stretch out of frustration. 11-run lead, 7th inning. And he's got himself a couple of new fielders. Saw Jose Vizcaíno at short in the on-deck circle. He is going into play short for Derek Jeter, and Clay Bellinger, who pinch ran for Justice, will stay in left. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, you know what? We're talking baseball fans, and I know it's 11-0. You're not on the edge of your seat, but for those, and I really mean this, you know we mean this, we have the best viewers in the world, because those of you who are hanging with us and ESPN's production of Wednesday Night Baseball, an 11-0 game that's been pretty much like this for an hour, they're just kind of hanging out with us and enjoying, and we enjoy the fact that you like baseball. And we hope we're announcing it that way and presenting it to you with the pictures and the sounds. Ben Grieve flies out to Bernie Williams. Billy Pino, what situations could possibly be developing?
This is developing, Chris, in Cincinnati. The Braves and the Reds. Ken Griffey Jr. at the plate here in the third. His team is down 6-2, but Griff is going to get a hold of one against Tom Glavine. And that's his 33rd home run of the year. That is 3 off the major league lead. It's 4th best in the National League. Now 6-3 was a solo home run.
All right, Billy, thank you. Mike Stanley trying to get his timing down. Fouls it off. The Reds are, Ray, I know they're quote in it. The Cards lost again today. I mean, St. Louis without McGuire. I know Will Clark's giving him some juice, but I mean, the door is all of a sudden open a little bit, but the Reds just don't seem to want to go through it.
Well, the door's wide open. Cardinals have been playing horrible. You know, we're talking about the field of teams and how they are right now as opposed to what their seasonal record is. And you look at Seattle, they're playing really well.
Was a Red. They would like that trade back, wouldn't they? Maybe.
At this point, they might.
Yeah.
You know, their pitching has not been good. But they did acquire some nice young talent.
Yes, they did.
But again, the Yankees are starting to play extremely well.
No surprise there.
No surprise. And the feeling that was there in April, May, June, what's wrong with the Yankees, is now suddenly turned to, they're the Yankees again.
Yes, they are.
The Braves have struggled a little bit of late.
But they're
not playing solid defensively, but they're a solid baseball team. The Giants are playing great.
Very well.
The Dodgers have started to play better over the last month. Last week, not so good.
The Diamondbacks are in and out. Of course, when you win the century's 100 years and you win a fourth of them, you win 25 of the 100. Actually, there were less than 100 World Series play, but you win 25 in one century, witnessed all by Zim. We love that, And next week I told Zim, because he always asked me, we always have a game in August with them late. Give me your long shots in football.
He is so.
I said, next Wednesday we'll discuss the long shots. He's waiting. He said, next Wednesday we have a date. We're talking football for the pool.
He is so funny, Chris. If we have some. He told me today they used to call him 81. All he wanted to talk about was golf. He didn't want to talk about baseball. He said, they used to call me 81 because it didn't matter where I played, I shot 81. He said, now they call me 101.
Hey, if he's 69 years or shooting 101,
yeah,
I'll take that.
But he said he went out with a couple of friends the other day up to Westchester, and they said, what's your handicap? Well, he said he didn't want to be embarrassed. You know how competitive he is. He said, I just told him 18. I go out and I make a putt on number 1 for a par. I made a putt on number 2 for a par. They said, wait a minute now. He said, you're sandbagging us.
Tino will take it. Chavez gone. 1, 2, 3 inning for Pettit. 7th inning stretch time in New York. And the Yankees trying to stretch their lead out more.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Killian's Irish Red, which reminds you one look says a lot, and by Pep Boys. Cars like us, people love us.
That's what you should be doing at the park, having a good time. Yankee fans are up 11-0. Seat behind the dugout. New pitcher for Oakland is Mike McNanty. So much for just using 2 guys, using like everyone for about an inning. And there are his numbers. And when you have more walks and strikeouts out of the pen, that's not a good thing. Right, Ray? I mean, I didn't manage, but I can come up with that. And the new left fielder is Ryan Christensen, so Ben Grieve will call it a night. 33,466. Attendance tonight. We started, this is Jose Vizcaíno. You started to talk about him, Ray.
Well, a guy that's always been a real solid player, nothing flashy, but just goes about his business and does a tremendous job. Whether he plays shortstop or second, he's short a little short on range, but he always makes the plays. A great professional, a guy that bunts, hits the ball on the ground for a hit and run, and just makes all the plays defensively. And a guy that, again, Ryan Cashman has done a tremendous job, I'm certain, by the urgency of Mr. Steinbrenner, but every need that this club has had, they filled.
So Vizcaíno and Soho. Parrish thought anything happened to Jeter, they'd be there. Of course, they're in there with Knobloch out. Who knows how long that's going to go. Chuck on the DL now. Go to MajorLeagueBaseball.com for the most complete baseball coverage on the internet. I mean, leave us on while you do it, please. But you go do it. I mean, you can get on the computer and watch TV at the same time. It's like walking and chewing gum. You can do that. Paul O'Neill, helmet back off lens, on head.
Well, Paul is so intense.
He's looking for his first hit rate tonight.
Yeah, and looking down the scorecard, 1 of 2 Yankees without a hit. But he's a guy that just goes up there, and I mean, the reason he hits 300 every year is because he just does not give away very many at-bats. He is into every at-bat, and he's tremendously hard on himself, but I've never known a great hitter that wasn't. Tony Gwynn, Pete Rose, Wade Boggs, George Brett. guys that were in my era, tremendous hitters, Rod Carew, every at bat. And it is hard to do, Chris, when you go up there 600 times a year to be focused and on top of everything, because you have injuries, you have a family. I mean,
yep, he's going to be 0 for 5 as Tejada guns him out. You know, last year was the first time since he was a Yankee. Remember, he started, really, it was one of the first moves made by this Yankee team. He came over in '93. Last year was the first time he didn't hit 300 as a Yankee. And this year, Paul, with the, tonight, went in hitting 311 and an 0 for 5. Obviously, he'll still be over 300 at this point of the year. Bernie Williams, 2 walks, single, scored, and a long home run to dead center. His 26th of the year. Bernie walked twice. Justice walked 3 times tonight, Ray. Posada walked twice, 1 intentional.
Well, it reminds you of the Yankees of the last 3 or 4 years, where they've gone deep in the count. Earlier this year, talking to Joe Torre, Chris Chambliss, we're talking about this ball club was not patient. They were swinging at all kinds of pitches. We're not getting their pitch to hit, not going deep in the count. Paul O'Neill tearing up his gloves. Helmet, glove, bat. Himself.
Adam Hyatt calls for it in right. And a 1-2-3 7th for the Yanks. Headed to the 8th in the ball yard of the Bronx. We'll be back. Box score for the A's. Not a lot happening except for Jason Giambi. 2 hits. Doubled in the first. Chavez with a hit, but Andy Pettit has given up just 4 hits. 1 to Ben Grieve, who's now out of the lineup, and Ryan Christensen is in left. Sal Fasano, average now at 194. You know, in August, Ray, that's not good.
No.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's enough said.
Dave Valley-esque. Dave wasn't always down there, but the 1 year will never be forgotten. You live in infamy when you do that. Remember the bar Swanee's up in Seattle? They were beers would be what his average was at the end of that night. So the fans would root for an 0 for him, and then beer would be $1.39. Jeff Tam throwing in the pen. So we're going to see all the setup guys oil it up. Lather up tonight, Ray. And since nobody pitched very long, obviously day game tomorrow, no problem coming back with any one of them. Excuse me.
Well, the pitching coach and the manager sets up not only the rotation, but they keep a chart day in and day out of how many pitches are thrown, how many innings pitches, how many times you get up and warm up in the bullpen.
Ball hit to left, back it goes, back by hey! Serve up a beer.
$2.
Sal Fasano, a $2 lager. He's charging, he's fired up. And the shutout is gone for Pettit. Yeah, good for him. Ball comes back on the field. For Fasano, his 6th homer.
Well, Pettit doing exactly what he's supposed to do, trying to throw the ball over the plate. As he gets a little tired, his fastball is going to get up because his legs get tired and he's not able to finish. Left that ball up out over the plate. Fasano hit it a long way. Nobody in the... Actually, we do have some activity in the Yankee bullpen.
Well, the shutout's gone now, so there'd be no real reason now for him to keep going, right? You like to go complete game shutout, but at this point, that's gone.
Right, he doesn't have a complete game over the course of the season. You've got to realize that, in the month of August and September, he's going to have probably another 8-10 starts. Well, he's got 22, and last year he ended up with 31 with 4 off starts. So he probably has 13 more starts.
This update, beers are at Sal's Pub are $2.02. So 1 for 3, man. When you come in at 198 to start the game, you go 1 for 3. That's like to the moon, Alice. Your average is skyrocketing. So a night for Oakland that's been a disaster, except for the plays at short by Miguel Tejada. Will be remembered that Sal Fasano maybe left the Mendoza line for the last time. Maybe. Let's hope so.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do, is look on that bubblegum card and look on the back of it and see 1 something.
Well, the Sunday averages, the way they used to print them in the paper, and you're at the very bottom.
You started
it's awful.
That's a bad feeling.
Awful. Terrence Long, base hit. Here come the A's. After our game, and we apologize to our friends, Steve Levy, Harold Reynolds. I'm going to call him right now. Harry, sorry, we're a little late. Baseball tonight coming up after the game, and of course, midnight, the complete hour. Baseball tonight. Big unit against the Expos. I'll show you what's going on with that. Wild card races. Sports Center coming up after that. That is Jason Ed Grimley. Jason Grimsley. I call him Ed Grimley. Last year, he vultured a lot of wins. Remember that? He'd be in there and end up with a lot of wins out of the pen. He's done a good job. He got a little tired toward the end of last year and maybe showing signs of that this year, but been a big pickup by the Yankees. Frank Menachino. And the Staten Island boy grounds into a double play. Let's go to Bill Pito. Billy?
All right, Chris, for the Mets, Darrell Hamilton, first game of the year back from that arthritic toe situation. And watch this. It's going to only at Enron Field, right? Hits the padding. They had no idea what the ruling was. They asked the Astros GM Jerry Hunsicker, what do you do when it hits the padding? He said, I don't know. So Darrell Hamilton, his first game back, credited with a home run. Wow, all Mets, 9-2, top 6.
You know, sometimes you can gimmick it up a little much. Just below us. Maybe they should just start the train and figure it out.
That's weird. I mean, I couldn't really tell on that ball what they're talking about.
I couldn't either.
The padding.
Billy, next time you come back, explain it to us. I don't know.
It's
either above the line or below the line, right?
Well, I mean, if
Candlestick. Pac Bell has one that an ump has to make a tough call on that it would come back into play, but there's a line there, and I mean that's some parts have that.
Generally, the line is.
This is Jeremy Jambi, by the way, pinch hitting. Go ahead, Ray.
Generally, the line is parallel to the top of the fence, and anything above that goes over or passes that imaginary line is a home run. You know, in some ballparks, certainly you have that situation in Florida where they have a line there that comes out in left field after the big, tall billboards and scoreboard. It drops down, and then out there around 334. But all you have to do, I think, is go out there and look over the line, over the fence, pure straight up, and if that ball eclipses that imaginary line over the fence, it's a home run, unless it's stated in the ground rules differently, because it left the ballpark.
Well, you're managing, and that's opposite way, hitting by Jeremy Jambi, batting for his brother Jason Jambi, and he has a base hit. All right, Billy, now explain this to us, will you please? We're slow.
Well, I don't know that I'm any quicker, but take a look. As Turner Ward goes back, watch where the ball hits, guys. Right there. So they gave him a home run, really went off the padding, and Darrell Hamilton, just back from that significant absence, given credit for his first home run of the season.
You know what? When you go out there, Ray, thank you, Billy. When you go out there, Ray, in these new parks, but you know the meeting with the umpires. Well, we'll discuss it when we come back. Roaches throws out Adam Pyatt. That ends the top of the 8th. Be back at the bottom of the 8th to discuss the padding at Enron when we return.
Watch, but they have come alive. They were once down 6-2. Right now, we're all tied up at 6. We're in the 5th inning. Alex Ochoa passed Andrew Jones, who lets it go all the way to the wall. Dante Bichette scores. Dimitri Young scores. And the Reds have come all the way back. They're now up 8-6.
Wow. But they had a wild series there, that Reds-Braves series, Ray. Monday, 2 in the 9th, 1 in the 10th for the Reds. Yesterday, a 1-run game for the Braves. This is Jeff Tam, the new pitcher. He was done very well. Lately has struggled, but now that's a little more like it. 17 walks, 36 strikeouts, ERA under 3. So he's the new pitcher, and Jeremy Jombie stays in first in place of brother Jason Jombie. Bottom of the 8th, 11-1. Yanks. And I would assume, Ray, that Andy Pettit's done. Judging by that, I'd say yes.
Well, Andy, another great outing. And although this team gets him a lot of runs, his earned run average now under 4.
There he is.
It's a lot of pitches. 100.
Yeah, but I don't care how many runs you get. 8 innings, 7 hits, 1 run.
That's a pretty line. That's a pretty line.
Clay Bellinger. Tejada in a straight play at short. There's Jeremy Jombie. We told you about it. Now here he is. Former Royal. And manager Billy Beane went to Jason Jombie. Said, what do you think? Pick up my brother. Do it. He can help us. They did. So Bellinger grounded out.
Speaking of Billy Beane, former teammate of mine with the New York Mets,
oh, yeah?
just part-time outfielder, but a great-minded guy that loved the game, always asking questions about the game. Sandy Alderson, protege. Sandy took him under his wing, offered him an advanced scout position. Billy Beane retired on the spot, become an advanced scout. Did such a great job, was moved into the front office under Alderson. And Sandy, after he got him groomed and decided to move on to Major League Baseball, Billy Beane became the general manager, and what a great job he's done putting together this ball club. One of the things Billy Beane talks about is that he's been able to acquire hitters for 50 cents on the dollar as opposed to pitching. So they're trying to develop their young pitchers and draft young pitchers because of the cost is so excessive, and try to acquire hitters through either trades or free agency.
Very smart. You have to adjust now, boy. It's not even like being a GM 10 years ago. And learning from Sandy is learning from one of the best.
Maybe Peter Gammon's most favorite GM or former GM.
Yeah. I would say that's for sure. Tim Hudson.
Oh, man. That's
Oakland's
great.
little Pedro, they call him.
Great young talent. A lot like, in my mind, even more like Kevin Brown than Pedro. He's got that great sinker. He keeps everything knee-high and lower. He got ripped the other night, but again, having a tremendous season. 12-4, one of the 5 guys, I believe it's 5 or 6 men that won 20 games in his first 24 decisions.
Here's the fellow we talked about, Ray, who pitched so well yesterday, Barry Zito, rookie.
Well, you mentioned that. I mean, earlier, Zito, Mulder, and Hudson.
They're babies.
They're babies, and you know, you go around the general managers throughout the league, and I guarantee you, if you're taking 10 picks, the best young arms in the game, you look at that group in Seattle and these 3 men, and they're going to be in that 10 picks, along with Chris Benson, Richie.
Tam to Tino. Tino with 5 ribbies tonight. You know, has pitched very well is a name we haven't mentioned all night for the A's. 2 straight years, a guy kind of forgotten about, Gil Heredia.
Boy, he has.
And here's the wild card situation, and the A's we haven't had a an Indian scored, haven't we? Grabbed by Ryan Christensen. They're winning in the 5th. Must have been raining in Ohio since he's late. Cleveland's late. Here's the wild card standings up to the moment. A lot of teams in there. I mean, a lot of good teams in there. This can be a very intriguing race because I don't know whether Boston or the Blue Jays are really going to catch the Yankees. I mean, they could. And in the end, I'm not sure, Ray.
I don't think so. I think
the Yankees might win that. Not going away, but you know they sweated to the end with Boston last year. They might win it a little more comfortably. I think they won by 4 last year. I don't know, but I mean Boston's scrappy. But Toronto without Mondesi, that's a tough one. That's very tough.
Well, Yankees are the best ball club in this division. I mean, they've got the most talent. You look at their 8 players, and then their starting rotation. You know, with the exception of David Cohn, is solid. Mendoza obviously struggling, but Dwight Gooden has given him 4 great starts, and El Duque getting healthy. Rogers throwing the ball exceptionally well.
Very well.
Pettit, you know, that bullpen is still solid, although Rivera has shown a few dents this year, has not been the dominating closer he's been in the past. But this Yankee ball club, with the additions they made of late, are the best ball team in this division. Thinking of Nagel and Pettit and Roger Clemens. You need 3 starters that are pitching well to be able to get you to the playoffs. And they certainly have 3 guys in Nagel, Pettit, and Clemens that are pitching well.
You have Cleveland, you know, pretty much not going to catch the White Sox, so they become the prime suspect really in the wild card race for a change. As Posada walks and Brocious comes up, and as we discuss the pennant races, we can discuss that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and description of the game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Now, because Alan Watson, Waddy, New York guy, comes back lefty to try and help the Yankees here down the stretch. So we'll see him in the 9th break. It's ripped by Brocious, who, oh, by the way, has 4 hits tonight.
He's swinging it.
Oh, man, they're booting it around, and they're sending Posada. Tejada's relay is up the line. They have a dozen. They just don't. They look like they're playing underwater out there, Ray.
Young teams seem to do that, Chris, just day in and day out. The little things, hitting the cutoff man, making the play, cutting the ball off, gloving the ball properly. They're going real hard, trying to do something with the ball. I mean, all you have to do is cut that ball off, get it back into second base, and keep the double play in order. And instead, he tries to make a terrific play, and a run scores with the boot. I mean, just trying to do a little bit too much. There's a difference between understanding what you have to do and trying to do a little bit too much. Young players tend to try to do a little bit too much. And he did cover a lot of ground out there. That ball in left center field, the biggest left center field in baseball, going from 408 to 399, but he was playing Brocious to pull. There you see a lot of room.
Yeah,
ball was right in the middle of the gap, but
not like the old days when it was 457 out there.
I can't even imagine.
I know.
457.
By the way, it's a double and an error on long to allow the run score, so no RBI, because Posada was clearly pulling into third and stopping. If you're scoring at home, and I know that some people are, and we respect that. That you sit at home and score a 12-1 game to completion. I know people do it, and it's laudable. It's a lost art, keeping the score of a baseball game. Soho chops it. Chavez grabs it over to Jeremy Jambi. The Yankees are gone. We're heading to the 9th. A dozen for New York now. They lead 12-1.
Anaheim, Ron Gant. Bottom of the first inning. There that one goes. Gant, of course, the former Philly. And it's 1-0. Now, Pete Harnisch for the Reds. He's been pitching got batted around, but his team has come back. They're up 8-6. Harnish still in the game and helping his own cause. 2-run home run, 10-6 Reds, top 6.
Yeah, maybe we were burying the Reds a little early. That just continues to be a wild series. Harnish with a homer. There's a good guy that's come back from a lot of stuff. And a lot of pitchers doing hitting lately. The Giants pitchers doing some hitting. Livan Hernandez and Sean Estes. I think they have 10 and 8 RBIs. A couple others doing some hitting over the weekend. As we have a new pitcher, Alan Watson, as we told you, is in to pitch for Andy Pettit to pick him up. As Pettit goes 8, and we showed you the line. 8 runs, 7 hits, and 1 run. 8 innings, 7 hits, 1 run allowed. So Andy will go to 13-6. Two teams play. Waddy, 18 walks in 20 innings, not what you want. Been hurt. Trying to get back. Well, he came up many years ago. It threw hard, still does. And really thought that he might have a chance to impress with the stuff that he had. He's a pretty athletic guy, and figured that wouldn't be an arm breakdown, but instead he has had an injury play career. This is our boy Miguel Tejada, who has been great in a losing effort and playing with enthusiasm and making plays, backhanded. Wow, that looks like.
And that's in a 12-1 ball game.
He's in a running back for the Oakland Rays. Whoa! This is down the line and off the wall. Tejada digging in a 12-1 game. Safe. Good for him.
If you can't like this kid, if you don't tune in to watch a full ball game and something's wrong with you when you're looking at talent like this, it's not always the score of the game, Chris. It's the effort and the ability of these great players. This guy's got a lot of pop. He thought that ball was gone. He kind of jogs there a little bit. I don't particularly like that, but then he kicks himself in gear and gets down there.
He's entertained us tonight in the 12-1 game. So this is Ryan Christensen, who replaced Ben Grieven left for his first at bat. Hey, Ray, I want to tell you that it's always a thrill for me to stand and work next to one of my heroes. I haven't seen you a lot this year. Yeah, it's a thrill when you announce baseball. You're here, really standing side by side. Oh, I'm sorry, Ray, not you. I mean, Bill King, who has been the voice of Oakland sports for years and years, 20 years with the A's, but he's better known as the voice of the Oakland Rays. All those teams, the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the AFL championships and the Super Bowl. He's a gentleman. Always comes up, says hello. Just to stand, admittedly, next to a black curtain, fittingly black, a silver and black curtain.
Well, he
next to Bill King.
He had his colors on.
Beautiful, beautiful voice. He doesn't know I'm talking about him now, but he's always been kind to me.
I'm in here somewhere.
Always been kind to me. Always. I mean, when he was very established and we were early at ESPN, he was a viewer. And you always remember people like that. And it's easy to be kind to us now, but when you're in 1980, 81, who are we?
Well, it's no different.
You gave me a long interview in the early interview. At any rate, Bill King's a gentleman. It was good to see him at the game. Here come the A's. Tejada's going to come home. And they throw him out at the plate. Let's play Bellinger in left field, and don't tell me he's hurt at the plate. Please, no.
But Chris, that goes right back to what we're talking about. Young talent playing over aggressively. Ron Washington stopping him the whole way. You're down 11 runs. Ron Washington right there, down the line. You don't see him. Tried to stop him. He decides to go. The play speaks for itself. No chance, no reason to do that. Just over-aggressive young talent. but I like it anyway. I like anybody that goes out there and busts their tail day in and day out, and he does. It just takes a little bit of experience.
And that will do it. Baseball tonight is next. Sports Center comes after that with Dan and Stu. Steve Levy is standing by with Harold Reynolds for baseball tonight. So Joe Torre's Yankees have beaten the A's 12-1 and have taken the first two of this three-game set. Tino Martinez with a grand slam, 5 RBIs. Posada homered. Williams homered. Andy Pettit 13-6. For Ray Knight and all of us at Yankee Stadium, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching Wednesday Night Baseball.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
Baseball tonight opens with an update. We take you out to the desert, Montreal and Arizona, 2 on and 2 out in the first, and Randy Johnson gets out of it with a strikeout of Jeff Blum, and they're scoreless as we move to the second inning. Another update for you. We switch over from Arizona to Los Angeles. The Cubs are in town. Star-studded one-on-one matchup here. Kevin Browning and Sammy Sosa. And Sammy gets it through the infield, and it goes all the way to the wall. Run scores. Sammy showing off the wheels for 3, and he's meat. Gets the RBI, and that's why the Cubs have the 1-0 lead over the Dodgers as we play the bottom of the second. And the updates just keep on coming like the hits. To Anaheim now. Ron Gant's been a star since being acquired by the Angels against the Red Sox. And get out of town on baseball tonight. And the Halos have a 1-0 lead over Boston as they play the bottom of the second. Year after year, the Baseball Tonight music remains the best in the shop. You heard it earlier along with Harold Reynolds. I'm Steve Levy. We've got you for the next half hour or so before Sports Center. Harold, once upon a time, had 8 consecutive base hits.
Yes.
Is that right? All infield hits?
You are fired up. You got the knowledge working? Yes. All infield hits. Thanks, man.
He did it for the Mariners, and that's where we start. Seattle in action tonight. And the Mariners and the White Sox going at it, and White Sox fans looking for respect. Bottom of the first, Frank Thomas goes deep off Jamie Moyer. His 32nd 2-0 Palos. Mike Sorotka is pitching well, Harold.
Well, in a game like this where you have a blowout, you have a tendency to forget about how well the pitching was. He had the cutter working in on the hands. He jammed Jay Buhner to get the double play. The White Sox playing solid D tonight. But he really pitched well. He got ahead of hitters, moved the ball in and out. And again, got Mike Cameron looking for that cutter in, went away with the fastball. He had good stuff, Steve.
Pick it up now. In the bottom of the second, 4-0 in favor of the Chicago White Sox. And Frank Thomas with 2-man on, up again. And again, he gets out of town. A 3-run shot, make it 33 on the season. Chicago had a 7-0 lead. Ray Durham against Moyer. Everybody's going deep against Moyer tonight. Durham is 14th, 8-0 Pale Hose.
Yeah, Moyer really struggled. He had the ball above the waist all night, and he's not going to overpower you with fastballs. He just got hurt.
Bottom of the sixth, the White Sox pouring it on. Tony G with a grand slam. Tony Graffanino. And that would inflate the score to 16-2. Now 18-2 in the bottom of the sixth. And you will see as the night progresses on Baseball Tonight, a lot of good baseball teams getting blown out. Elsewhere, the Rangers and the Indians going at it. Dave Burba on the mound for the Tribe. Let's go back to his last start. It was last Wednesday. Had to leave against Tampa, blister on the right index finger. So how would he fare tonight against the Rangers? Top of the third, Harold.
Well, he threw a lot of strikes. That's how he fared. But right here, watch this blooper fall in, but watch Cabrera, the right fielder, pick it. Now, you know the runners have to hold to get rid of the ball. Look at Vizquel, the athletic, come across, touch it. Yeah, we got you at second. Sweet play.
Same inning. Here we go. Bases loaded. 2 out. A 1-2 count for Gabe Kapler. He of the 22-game hitting streak. And Burba just misses. Now watch what happens
So when you got 22 games going, you get balls like that.
John Shulock, unprovoked by Burba, comes out and confronts the pitcher. At least we thought he was unprovoked. Burba wanted to know, hey, did I say anything? Then the rain comes. Shulock making a good call. Calls for the talk. After a 43-minute rain delay, here's Burba's first pitch back. Strikes out Kapler swinging. Rangers leave the bases loaded in the inning. Bottom of the third scoreless. Kenny Lofton on for Omar Vizquel. Double to left. Lofton would score from first. 1-0 in favor of the Indians. Lofton can still run, can he? Not even a close
He's healthy again. The shoulders back. Starting to really come around the last few months.
Top of the fourth. Michael Lamb going the other way. Bloop to left. Will Cordero. And you know that feels good on the real grass.
Better than the turf.
Bottom of the fourth. It's 2-0 Indians. 2 on, 1 out for Kenny Lofton. Lofton, the double to left. That would score Cordero. And that would put the Indians up by a score of 3-0.
You see that swing by Lofton right there? That's what he was not able to do earlier with the shoulder surgery, to pull the bat through like he did and drive the ball to left.
Top 7. Kapler a chance. Is that a hit or an error?
You got to have some luck.
Base hit. It's a 23-game hitting streak.
Wow.
6-3 Cleveland at that point. Now it's 6-4 as we play the bottom of the 7th inning in favor of the Indians, and we'll keep you posted on that. Now, Harold, I know that even though they were 8 games back of the White Sox coming in, you didn't count them out of the American League Central Division, so I know only 2.5 back of the wild card coming into Oakland. You like them against the A's in that department?
Yeah, I really do. I like Cleveland. I don't think they're out of it. Charlie Manuel, matter of fact, boldly proclaimed, he said in the paper today, if we're 5 back by September, we're going to catch the White Sox. Charlie, a motivator. Art Howell done a great job there. And Billy Beane giving him players to work with. The manager, you're only as good as your players. Let's break this down. Oakland and Cleveland and wild card race. I like the pitching of Oakland starters. Hudson, tremendous changeup. He's just got great stuff. Gil Heredia, I like the way he's thrown the ball all year. I give the nod actually to the starters because of this young man right here, Mr. Zito. He threw the ball great last night against the Yankees in New York. Defensively, well, hey, anytime you got Robbie Alomar and Omar Vizquel up the middle and they make it look like ballet, they get the nod for defense. And then you put Sandy Alomar back there. The way he handles the pitching staff, not necessarily how he throws anymore, but how he handles things. So I got to give the nod of defense to them. Offensively, well, this is interesting. The power, I got to give it to Jim Thome. I mean, who's got more power than this guy? You say Giambi. Well, Giambi is more complete, I think, in the power category. But then you talk about Manny Ramirez. Giambi and Ramirez very similar. But this guy's hurt right here. That's going to hurt them. Kenny Lofton starting to come around. Lofton, Vizquel, Alomar. Remember those 3? Those are 3 guys in the lineup that are the best 3 combo in baseball. If they get it going, that's what's going to get the Cleveland Indians back. And then the bullpen, though. This is really where I think it's going to decide the wild card between these 2 teams. Messier, tremendous pickup. Isringhausen has been great. He had a rough night last night. But I still got to kind of give the nod to the Indians because they have Karsay, Shuey, and then they pick up Wickman. And you have 3 guys that can close the game out for you. And down the stretch, you're going to need a combination because you've thrown so many pitches by this time of the year. The arms are starting to get a little bit tired. And here's what their schedules are going to look like in the upcoming next 2 weeks. But keep an eye on Cleveland and Oakland in that wild card race.
So we have 6 meetings left head-to-head. And I know you believe throughout travel will be a factor as well.
Well, going from the east to the west is totally different from going west to east. Not just because I said so, but when you go west to east, you're still on that West Coast time zone. Even though the clock might say 1 a.m., your body's still at 10 a.m., and next thing you know, it's 4 a.m., and you haven't gone to bed yet, and you're getting up at 9 o'clock for a day game.
I hate when that happens. Happens to me all the time. Harold, to the National League we go. First place Braves visiting the second place Reds. Severe thunderstorms and hail delayed the start of this one for an hour and a half. Bottom of the first, Ken Griffey Jr. lines a single. Chipper cuts it off and then throws it away. Griffey to second. He would score later on an Alex Ochoa single. That's Chipper's 17th error of the year. Give him $90 million. Top of the third, 2 on Reds. Chipper trying to break out of an 0 for 21 slump. Lines it down to first. Dimitri Young, the stop, and the flip to Pete Harnish to make the play.
Well, this is a great play by Dimitri. And when Chipper's struggling, that's the type of thing that's going to happen. He's not going to be a guy who swings and misses an awful lot. He's going to hit the ball hard. That's a great play by the meat hook playing first tonight.
So they're not going to take that contract away from Chipper?
Nah, I think he's earned that through a few years. They'll let him keep on to it.
Later that inning with a 2-1 score, Wally Joyner, the base hit to left, scores a couple, 3-2 Braves. Wally's 15 for his last 26. Still in the third, Bobby Bonilla. Dante Bichette gave you the effort, but couldn't get to it. Joyner and B.J. Surhoff score. Bonilla would later score on a Pete Harnisch wild pitch. Bobby Bo's third triple, 5-2 Braves. It's 6-2 when Junior goes yard, up and out. Solo shot, 33rd on the year. Glav in 4 innings. He allows 8 earned runs. 2 on for Stan Belinda on in relief. Alex Ochoa the line in the center. Andrew Jones doesn't misplay many balls out there. Bichette and Dimitri Young score. Triple for Ochoa, and it's 8-6 in favor of the Reds. 2 out, 1 on. Belinda against the pitcher, Pete Harnisch. Is he going to get out of town? He is. Gone for the pitcher, Harnisch. The 2-run shot, 10-6 in favor of the Reds in that one. A wild affair. Griffey 3 for 3. Alex Ochoa now 1 home run shy of his second career cycle. Still a couple more innings to get to in this one. The Mets and the Astros, it's always Lima time. Top of the second, man on. Todd Zeile facing Jose Lima. Blue pit to right. Lance Berkman dives. Doesn't get to it. Robin Ventura would score. Mets would tie the game 1-1 on Zeile's triple.
Well, once you make up your mind to dive, that's a little way misjudged for the dive there, and the ball got by him. You got to try to keep that one in front of you, but if you're going to dive, you got to go.
Next batter is Jay Payton. A liner to the left, gets out. Everything gets out at Enron. Derek Bell, shot to the right field corner. This would stay in the park.
Derek Bell comes back to Houston, letting them know, I don't understand why you traded me. You thought I was through. Well, you know what? I'm not finished yet.
Next batter, Edgardo Alfonso. Base hit to right. That would score Bell. Mets at a 5-1 lead. A lot of good pitchers and pitching staffs getting lit up tonight, Harold.
Well, Jose Lima, one of the best at talking to himself, and you know what? He'll take it out every now and then. Ah!
You like to see a player who cares, and clearly Jose Lima cares.
What's going on? I don't know what's going on. I'm throwing slides. I do everything.
Translated, that means see you in 5 days for my next start. The Mets, a 9-4 lead over the Astros. They play the top of the 8th, trailing the Braves by 4, heading into play tonight. Update in Philadelphia. Bases loaded, tied the top of the 9th. Rather, the bottom of the 9th there. Mike Lieberthal, the fly. Play at the plate. Safe. Doug Glanville tags up on the Lieberthal sacrifice fly. That one is over. The Phillies defeat the Padres at the Vet by a score of 3-2. Still to come on baseball tonight. The only thing better than having superstar pitchers pitching on the same night would be if they were pitching against one another. Randy Johnson and Kevin Brown both looking to avoid what would be their 5th loss of the season. And SportsCenter is standing by. Dan Patrick and Stuart Scott will have it all for you, including Michael Irvin's latest brush with the law. SportsCenter in 20 minutes. Man, is it hot! Ever wonder what we're doing by exclusive in-progress updates? This is it. The Cubs had a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers. Not anymore. Todd Hundley off Chicago ace John Lieber.
Hundley was 0 for 18. It's just a matter of time. Don't be surprised Chipper Jones doesn't catch him tonight.
0 for 18. That's his 18th home run of the season. Interesting how those... it's not that interesting, really. It's 1-1 in the top of the 3rd. Keep you posted. Giants played an afternoon game today, and they blew out the Brewers 9-3. Jeff Kent grand slam gives him more than 100 RBIs for the 4th consecutive season. So a great baseball game tonight on ESPN if you're a Yankee fan. Sunday night, we've got a couple for you. Here on ESPN, it's the Reds and the Cubs at 8 Eastern. Over on ESPN 2, you'll see the Yankees again in Anaheim against the Angels.
I love sports, baseball, stock car racing.
Checking out the numbers, simply amazing. After Pedro Martinez in the American League in terms of earned run average, you have to go a full 2 runs, more than 2 runs to get to the next guy. No one has an ERA in the 2s in the American League. Simply amazing. More baseball tonight, right after this.
Coming to Showtime, Evander Holyfield. Always a warrior. Tough, strong, fearless. But he's got to give it his all if he wants to get it all back. Starting with John Ruiz. He's won his last 11 fights, 9 of them by knockout. And he won't be satisfied until he becomes the first Latino to claim the title of heavyweight champ. Holyfield versus Ruiz for the WBA Heavyweight Championship. Coming soon on Showtime.
Royals, Jeff Supan on the mound for Kansas City, facing Alex Gonzalez in the very first inning. Gonzalez puts one into center. Johnny Damon going back on the ball. Turned the wrong way for a second and couldn't come up with it. Goes as a triple for Gonzalez. Next batter, say hi to Dave Martinez.
Well, Dave on his 4th club. We've talked about that for a couple nights now. Nice little stroke, drives the ball the other way, takes what they give him, base hit.
So the Jays strike first, had a 1-0 lead. Who would Kansas City go to get their offense?
Well, they're going to Johnny Damon. 0-2 count. He just dribbles one through for a base hit. When you're hot like he is, 483 in the second half, you just go up there and say, you know what, I'm going to get 2 strikes, and I'll go ahead and see the ball and hit it. He is just ridiculous. 2 for 4 tonight.
The hottest hitter in the American League, the opposite of Sammy Sosa for the National League. And there you see the double play. Damon was actually called safe at second as Alex Gonzalez airmailed the throw to first. All runners would be safe. Jim Fregosi out to argue the call. Wouldn't do him any good, of course. Next batter, it really hurts now. Mike Sweeney, yard, his 3-run home run.
What that does, it changes Sweeney's whole at bat. We'll talk about it later. As we see Fulmer line out, the double play snatched by Mr. Sweeney.
And the defense wasn't done for Kansas City. The flip there off the Mickey Morandini grounder with a nice 4-6-3 double play.
So back to the Sweeney at bat. What that does is you got runners at second and third. Now it draws the infield in. You're looking for something to drive, and that's why he was sitting there looking for a pitch, and he got it and drove it out of the ballpark.
You see that game is going on ESPN2. Update. The Mets and Diamondback, rather the Mets and Houston. Mike Piazza's missed the last 3 games. He's back.
This could be the first ball I've seen go out in center there. Oh, my.
The flagpole not an issue when it goes out. It's 12-4 in favor of New York as they play the bottom of the 8th inning.
That's 436 to dead center. I got to give him a standing ovation on that. That's ridiculous.
Harold actually is standing and clapping here in the studio.
My goodness.
Still to come here on Baseball Tonight. Highlights of the Cardinals and the Marlins. Jim Edmonds' tremendous season continues. How about this outfield assist to complete a double play? More updates for you on Baseball Tonight. Top of the 3rd, we go to Anaheim where the Red Sox are. In the first inning, Nomar Garcia-Parra put one to the wall. This one here in the 3rd with 2 aboard, he puts it over the wall. A 2-out, 3-run home run, and the Red Sox have a 3-1 lead over the Angels as they play the bottom of the 3rd inning. The Cardinals in action, and they come up short against the Marlins by a score of 5-3. Florida continues to play tremendous baseball. Another save for Al Fonseca.
One of the best young teams in baseball. Average age 27 years old.
More on the Marlins coming up on the Midnight Eastern Baseball Tonight. And the Rockies win at home, 4-3 over the Pirates. 7 hits apiece. The Rockies get the extra run and get the victory. We've got more for you coming up here on Baseball Tonight. The Orioles in action. Bobby Higginson showing off the gun in the outfield. We are updating Mark Grace, a guest on Up Close today with Gary Miller. Obviously paying off for Grace. Puts one into the gap. That would score a run. And Chicago's got a 4-1 lead now. I believe that's Mark Grace's first Major League double. Kills doubles. That's all he hits. 4-1 in favor of the Cubs as they play out in L.A. in the 3rd. Elsewhere, seen earlier here on ESPN, the Yankees blow out the A's 12-1. Andy Pettit is strong. It's his 4th straight win, does not get the shutout. Kevin Appier really struggled. The